Luffy really is the ultimate LARP because LARPing is essentially the highest form of manifestation. You are embodying what it means to be someone before you're actually that person. And what is Luffy doing? He's embodying being the Pirate King before he is that. He fights enemies way more powerful than him. He has self-belief against all odds and reason because he knows that that is what it takes to get from where he is to where he wants to be. Your favorite actor, let's say Brad Pitt, he's a LARP too. He had to pretend to be a good actor to then become a good actor. That's how life works. When I started social media, I had no idea what I was doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing, but guess what? I've gotten closer to my goal simply by pretending. And anyone that calls you a LARP in a negative way, they're just coping with the fact that they don't have the balls to put themselves out there and try.
This stuff is pretty bleak, and I want to briefly tell you why. In reality, at least, at this point, maybe in the past this would work more often, but the reality these days is that people like Luffy get their faces smashed in. They get kicked to the curb, and they don't come back from it. The reality is that real human beings have a limited amount of money, they have a limited amount of time during the day, they have a limited number of friends, they also have a limited number of opportunities. I'm sure you guys are very well aware when it comes to things like job markets and financial opportunities. They've been just disappearing and not coming back. So if you're building your life philosophy around Luffy, I'm very sorry. I hate to be the breaker of bad news for this, but in reality, this doesn't work. And as far as how Jett here has related to it, it's also really bleak. What he's actually doing here that's leading him to be successful, it's more accurately described as him accepting the premises of social media according to how it nudges and influences his behavior, telling him, well, here's the content that people want to see, even though that's not the entire story. This is not an honest, transparent process of here's what people like and here's what people don't like. This stuff is manipulated through algorithms, right? So essentially, Jett's just kind of resigned himself to, I'm going to make whatever Instagram would like to show people, even if that, regardless of how ultimately that makes anybody feel or whether or not that's good, he's not responsible for the complete circuit of his participation in society. He's got a jailer in between him and the general public, and that jailer is called Meta Platforms. And when he says that, oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just faking it and that's what you've got to do, what he's really describing is that he's saying, I don't know and I can't know what exactly the algorithm is going to want to have me making and how I'm going to be rewarded or punished in terms of video metrics based on what I post. But I've just learned by doing, and then that seems to be working for me, and then, he jumps to the spurious conclusion that that's what success is all about. It's not. That is not how success works. Reality is a lot more knowable than this. It's a lot more of a complete picture. And before the age of social media, if people who are probably older than him or I they understood this, especially older Gen X and baby boomers and beyond. They're very aware of the fact that this whole fake it till you make it thing, there's a word for that. There's a word for the type of person who does that. They're called yuppies. And the reason that they're called yuppies is because all they do is say, yup, yeah. The answer is always yes, no matter what. It doesn't matter if they don't know how to do something, they're going to say they know how to do anyway and then figure it out on the job. And they just kind of rely on this old trick of don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness, which is a very, effective thing to do back in the 1980s when you're still coasting on a high trust society, when, the financial system, the social system, the political system, all of these things are still mostly working the way that they were intended to. It's a great trick, but it's 40 years on, guys. It's been 40 years of we've been just piling on all the consequences, the structural decay that's resulted from doing things in that way. And I think it's just very dishonest to sit here in 2026 and say, this is what you got to do. You got to fake it till you make it. And you just got to be an idiot. And it's like, no, you don't. And also, that's not really how any of this works. And people who are getting real power, people who work in tech maybe, I don't know. At least those people I can say off the top of my head, they're not faking it. They are legitimately locked into whatever they're doing, and they're not really bugging you about that. They're not going to include you or debrief you. They're just doing it. So, do you ever ask yourself, what are they doing? And how does that affect me? And if you don't, you might just be a victim in a different way.